Redbird opened, our soft opening was in August of 2023. I guess we've been open for about 5 months now. Texas Monthly is like the end all be all when it comes to Texas barbecue. Daniel, he's the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly. The first couple months that we had opened up, you know, Daniel actually came the weekend after we got married. He tried to catch us on a day off, but we were still dialed in. We were still dialed in. When Daniel walks in, there's this kind of like, the mood changes. I remember him eating the brisket that I'd cooked, and he loved it. He wrote an amazing article about Redbird, called us a barbecue jewel. But what feels even better is just serving people that are so thankful that you're doing it. Redbird Barbecue is located here in Port Neches, Texas, the Golden Triangle area. We are about an hour 15 southeast of Houston. We're located in an area where it's a lot of Cajun influence, and there's not that much barbecue. You know, it really made sense for me and Delaney to move home and open up Redbird where we grew up, because we have a lot of customers that really, truly, they're like genuinely thanking us for bringing something different to the city. It's been very successful so far. When I get into the pit room, my music's a little bit different than some of the other employees that like to work here. But if I get here first, we're listening to hip hop and hip hop only, buddy.
So it's gonna smoke a lot. This first brisket fire is gonna smoke a lot. We want a low flame, about like that. This fire will last an hour and a half.
Redbird has always been part of the Creekstone family, and we buy their all natural line. Got to start out with good meats. I mean, if we're opening up a barbecue joint and we're not starting out with good quality meats, then like, you know, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So the brisket goes on in the morning, 5 a.m. on the dot every morning. And so we found like 5 a.m. is a really good sweet spot. If they go 12 hours, then we're looking at 5 p.m. But if they go 13 or 14, maybe a little longer, we're looking at 7 or 8, which anybody in the barbecue world knows is if you can get your briskets off 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock, you're looking really good.
You know what's crazy, bros? We've had a line since day one. I knew this area would appreciate good barbecue. I did not know how much support we were gonna have. We went from cooking 25 briskets at a pop-up to now cooking like 100 briskets a week. So it has been kind of a learning curve, but I think now the food's better than it's ever been. We're really dialed in now, so.
That's why people travel for barbecue, is because you're taking this meat that's very, very hard to cook and you're making it tender and you're really elevating that. So we have 2,000 gallon Syntex smokers and we love them. They are built very, very well. You know, Michael over at Syntex, he pays attention to details. You can tell every single detail of the pit was done with a purpose.
We actually had to extend both smokestacks to fit them in here, so we had to extend them an extra 2 feet. And when I called Michael at Syntex, he was like, dude, they're gonna pull harder. Once you get the damper to a certain point, I think both of them cook pretty evenly.
We named our pits. You know, the first pit that I got, I named it after my stepbrother, Cody. Then the second pit I got, I named after Goldie. So back in 2021, Goldie's ended up getting #1 on the Texas Monthly Top 50 list. And I was working with Johnny the time that they got #1. So I worked there for about 1.5 years. I would stay up there from 7 days, 8 days, 10 days in a row, and I would just work as much as I could. And you don't understand how long the drive is from Port Neches to Fort Worth until you take it about 50 times. But when you're going up there for that long and you're spending a lot of time with people, you just develop really good friendships. And I developed a really good friendship with every single one of them up there. You know, me and Jalen, me and Johnny, you know, me and Lane, like all of us have different relationships, and all of them were so willing to help. I wouldn't be where I'm at without them and without that experience. And so I dedicated my second smoker after them, so I named that one Goldie.
Here are the different sausages we're doing right now. This is our house sausage. It's got a little bit of fresh garlic in there, red pepper flakes. This is our cayenne, spicy cheddar, and green onion sausage. You know, Cajuns love cayenne. That's kind of like the spice here. And then this is that Kody day I was telling you about. It's like, what you're seeing is like all the herbs in there, but you're also seeing like the turmeric pop out. We also infuse it with saffron water, some water.
Oh man,
and put it
you're
in
getting
there.
chefy on them.
Yeah, a little bit here and there.
Yeah, so, you know, my dad's full-blooded Persian. He came from Iran, and he's always tried to incorporate our, you know, where he's from into, you know, what we grew up eating. So we eat Persian food all the time. When you're eating it, if you haven't had kubide, it's just gonna be like a burst of flavors. It's a really cool take on like one of my favorite dishes I grew up eating.
Sausage requires a lot of patience, my friend. You really don't want sausage either this close. I feel like this gets too hot. So you want it maybe a little bit further away from the door, and you do not want them touching. Because if they're touching, then they won't get colored. That's like a very important step, is to make sure that they have enough space for the airflow, but also if they're touching and they don't get that beautiful color, they get more kind of just whitish. Nice little coal bed, right? But this is gonna be a nice fire for about a 130 to 150 range. And that first fire on the cold smoke, that's what I'm looking for. But that way you're able to get good smoke, kind of get these sausages off in a good time.
Sausage making is very important because it shows a lot of level of skill. And if you want to be the best and you want to be considered some of the best, your sausage has to be top notch. We always want to make sure that anything that you order here, especially the sausage that we make here, it's just something that you haven't had before, and it's very unique flavors.
Good color. This is the kubide. They feel really nice.
I feel like a lot of barbecue joints focus more on the meats than anything else, which that's what you're supposed to do. But you also want the experience of the side dishes and everything down to the pickles and everything to be unique. It's overall gonna be a better experience. We're doing things that most barbecue joints don't have the luxury of doing because they're probably open too many days. And that allows us to be able to do everything from scratch.
So we roast garlic. We roast garlic. We put the roasted garlic in the potato salad dressing. So it's kind of like almost like a roasted garlic aioli.
Whoa, that's the cheese y'all use?
Yeah.
This is the worst part of my job. Cut the cheese off this bar.
Hey, that cheese, that's what we use for the Caesar slaw. I mean, if we're gonna do Caesar slaw, we're gonna do it right, buddy.
Oh, you're gonna love it. I put a lot of Parmesan in the dressing, and then I shave Parmesan at the end once we assemble it and put that in there to really give it that Caesar slaw vibe. And then she makes homemade croutons for it.
A little bit of butter, garlic, salt, simple crouton. Amir tells me I can cut brisket with the way that I cut the bread.
It does look like that.
The cream corn from scratch. We're shucking our own corn stock that goes in the red beans, to the pickles, to the barbecue sauce, to the banana pudding.
I always whisk the eggs before I add the cornstarch just to make sure it's as smooth as possible. No chunks. Once you drop this in though, it'll drop about 20 degrees. And that's when the constant stirring begins.
On Thursdays, my wife Delaney will get here, and one of the things that she likes to knock out is the banana pudding. It's light, it's not too sweet. She's known that recipe since the day, you know, we started making it. It's very, very technical.
Delaney said banana pudding, please. I helped last week with banana pudding, and it came out a little bit not perfect.
Yeah.
She fired you.
She fired me, straight up. Straight up fired me from the pudding.
Delaney has been a staple piece at Redbird. I mean, from the second that we decided to open up a restaurant, she's been all in.
And she goes. See you tomorrow.
We're looking at about 9 a.m. Bark starting to set. You know, slower and slower. These first couple hours, we're really just trying to make sure we get enough smoke on them. They look good.
Yeah, so like, you know, it's funny, a lot of people come in, and if you haven't been around Texas and seen barbecue joints being open maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 days a week, what do y'all do during the week? You know, like, do y'all have other do y'all have other part-time jobs, or You know, what do y'all do during the week? As soon as Sunday is done and we've served and we're completely done, our order for the following week comes Monday. Consider, you gotta keep in mind, we just worked all week last week. When Tuesday morning comes around, here comes another 80 to 100 briskets to trim.
So right now we're just re-trimming the briskets that we've already trimmed on Tuesday. We like to go through them, re-trim them. He's making sure that the fat level here is right.
Yeah.
Obviously, the fat level on the lean side is right as well. Making sure the edges are rounded, making sure that the fat is, you know, a 1/4 inch. If you have a pointy edge or the fat's too much, like you can cook a really nice brisket, but on the final slice of the product, like you'll get exposed. The re-trim of the briskets, this is one of the most important parts of the brisket process.
And so we're utilizing the beef, the trim, you know, we're making 120, 140 pounds of sausage a week. Other than that, we also use the trimming for our smash burgers. So Redbird Barbecue is open on Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. And we're also open on Wednesdays through our window in the front. But that's strictly for the smash burgers that we do.
So where you open this up, and you bring it all the way over here. We got the hook over here.
So Wednesdays are the days that we're doing burgers, but we saved a couple for you guys to try. Hope you guys like it.
Wow. I love the crispiness of the patties. Soft meat on the inside and then like crunchy, just crispy goodness on the outside. This burger is so rich that the pickles are like the perfect complement to like cut through that fat. This is like an insane burger, man. Amir was telling me that people line up 2 hours before they open on Wednesdays when they're giving out smash burgers, and like, I can see why now. Seriously, like this burger is insane.
When I was starting a restaurant, I did a lot of research of like what I could find locally and what I could source locally. 9 times out of 10, it's gonna taste better. All of the spices that we get here at Redbird, it comes from a local company in Beaumont called Texjoy. Everything on the menu has these spices in it. So that was so important to us, finding really good spices that helped elevate what we were doing.
So we make our own seasoned salt here. It's Diamond Crystal's kosher salt, a little bit of our Cajun rub we make in-house, and then some garlic powder, onion powder. I like to season the ribs like maybe an hour before we load them. Just kind of so like they can sweat a little bit.
So Texjoy off the bat, that was kind of something that made sense for us. And then also sourcing our honey. You know, we use a lot of honey here. Our rib glaze is like a hot honey rib glaze. So we put a lot of honey in there. The sweetness that you get, that's coming from local honey. You can taste it. It just tastes fresh, and it tastes like you just got it out of, you know, in your backyard.
In my opinion, you don't want near as much smoke on ribs as you do brisket. The bottom logs for rib fire, I'm gonna put it this way. So you see how it's a totally different bottom layer? Yeah. And so that way, it's different airflow. So this is gonna allow the flames to be more crisp and less smoky.
I didn't get into barbecue. I like jumped into barbecue. Like as soon as I thought of the idea of bringing barbecue home to where I grew up, it was like I went full force. There was no like, hey, let's go buy a brisket at HEB and start trying to cook and figure out like that. I Googled barbecue jobs. I had a full-time job in Houston. I Googled barbecue jobs. First job I interviewed at was Fetus Barbecue. They hired me on the spot. So I had 2 jobs for like 6 months. No one really knew I was working up there. I've always been told like work in silence, and for me, that's what we've done. I went from not owning a restaurant, never being in the restaurant industry, to now like running a very high level barbecue restaurant.
Little fat render. We like flavor here at Redbird. If your brisket has a ton of white fat on it, you don't like flavor.
So that challenge of constantly figuring out how to make the brisket as good as you can, it's fun. If people say they don't like cooking brisket, I'm not gonna say anything. Never mind, because I just remember Cooper saying he didn't like cooking brisket. I'm not gonna say anything.
What is your least favorite thing to cook and why?
Brisket, not even close. Yeah, it's the least profitable thing we do. It's the biggest pain in the butt. It's brisket for sure.
Anyone that says they like to cook anything else but brisket, that on a barbecue joint is wrong, yes. I'm trying to big dog everyone. Little baby.
And you're trying to cook them to where all of them are coming off at the same time. That's ideal. Sometimes the briskets don't want to do what they're supposed to do, and they take a little bit longer than some of them do, but for the most part, our goal is to take them off all at the same time.
But I couldn't do it without the people that work here. I mean, when you're doing 80 to 100 briskets and 60 racks of ribs and 120 pounds of sausage, like, you have to have a crew. Everyone has to be focused. Everyone has to be dialed in at a very high level. There's no time to like not be focused.
Nice job, guys. We 820 in all briskets and pork ribs are off.
When I was figuring out the name of Redbird, I was struggling with the name. So back in 2018, October, my stepbrother Cody passed away, and it was very sudden. And when that happens, everyone's thrown for a loop. When someone close to you passes away, you will see things that remind you of them. Well, for our family, it was cardinals, it was redbirds. As soon as he passed, like, that's all we saw. Making it something that like carried on that, like, it makes all of this worth it. And so I think about him, and that helps. I think about all the people that have invested in Redbird. That'll get you through. But it's tough. Friday is our hardest day because it's the first day of service, right? Got to get here early. First thing is making sure the turkeys are on. Obviously briskets, potatoes. Have to ensure those get in the oven.
You gotta make sure the potatoes are perfectly laid. There's no rush in this process.
I think when you mix cheese and potatoes, people already are like, they already want to try it. 2 different types of cheeses, very high quality. We shred it ourselves. That, with the combination of the spices that we put in it, I mean, we've got them so dialed in. It's like, not many people are doing scalloped potatoes and barbecue, and I think ours are by far the best.
You know, my dad actually got up early this morning. Got here at 5 a.m. to do the pita bread for Aunt.
Love your dad.
My dad, we can't keep my dad away from this place. He is here Friday as soon as he's done seeing patients. He's here. Delaney's on sides, and always on Fridays, her mom, she's always working the sides with her. So her mom will come in, her mom always helps, and Delaney and her mom are like best friends. Customers love that, I love that. They're great at it. And then my mom's here. When she comes down, she helps. My stepmom, Stephanie, she comes and helps a lot. My sister has been here, she's here now, she helps a lot when she's in town.
I want my family to feel like welcome here. Yeah. It just makes things more of like a family environment, and I think that speaks volume to Redbird and where we're headed.
You need to get here around 10:30 to 11 o'clock to get the full menu. We can't blindly cook 50 briskets and hope people come. The whole idea of selling out is not to just post and be cool, oh, we're sold out of meats. You have to be cooking a strategic amount to where you're selling out and you don't have wasteful product. The customers have been crazy supportive. I'm talking a lot of regulars. There's this one girl, Leah, like My sister grew up with her. Just seeing her in line, like everyone behind the line, as soon as we see Leah, like we're all just so happy to see her.
Leah! Hello!
Hi! What up, Leah? How are you, sweetheart?
That's how you know you've made it. Can I get a pound and a half?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, girl. You're getting more today. You think more people?
Yes.
Where I learned barbecue is very Central Texas, elevated at a very high level. We have a little Cajun influence, but I think for the most part, it's very traditional. So for example, like the spicy cheddar and green onion sausage, it's got cayenne in there instead of jalapenos. That right there is our flair on a Cajun spicy cheesy sausage. I always wanted to do stuff Cajun because number one, I am Cajun, I grew up down here. But number two, it's some of my favorite food. Like, you put all your energy into the customers because you want them to have an amazing experience. And then after that, it's like, all right, dude, here's another 8 to 10 hour shift. We still have 30 briskets to retrim. We got 25 to 30 cooking. But I think what makes it worth it is, number one, the people that we bring together. You can see them and loving the food. They're bringing their families out. They're just loving the food. That to me is worth all the hard work.